Hey guys, and welcome back. So we did it. We made it. We are officially at the last mushroom of the immune system series. And I honestly think we're all a little relieved. Don't get me wrong. I love mushrooms. I think they're fascinating little things. But if I have to say the word beta glucan one more time, I think I might turn into a mushroom myself. So today we're going to talk about chaga. And if you've spent any time on social media, you've probably seen it. It's called the king of medicinal mushrooms. It's called superfood, right? It's called the immune mushroom. All these fun names. It's just about everywhere on social media when you turn around, right? Just Google mushrooms. I guarantee you it's going to show up. And according to these claims on the internet, well, it can apparently solve every problem that you have ever had. So today we're going to separate history, tradition, science, marketing, and figure out what this strange looking fungus is really all about. So first of all, what is chaga? Well, let's get something out of the way. We got another mushroom, guys. It doesn't look like a mushroom. Okay, seriously, look at it. It looks like a burnt piece of wood or charcoal or something that fell out of your campfire but you can't quite identify and just stuck it to a tree. Its scientific name is Inonotus obliquus. Yep, say that one 3 times, I dare you. And unlike the mushrooms we've been discussing, chaga grows primarily on birch trees in colder climates. So you'll find it in places like Russia, Siberia, Northern Europe, Canada, and parts of northern United States. And honestly, if someone pointed at a birch tree and said, hey, do you want to drink that black thing growing on the side of that tree? Well, they probably wouldn't have said yes. I'm not that adventurous, but thankfully, somebody else was way more adventurous than I am, so I just get to read the research now. So, one of the reasons chaga became so popular is because of its long history of traditional use. So, in Russia and Siberia, chaga was often brewed into teas and decoctions. People would carefully harvest it, dry it, break it into smaller pieces, and simmer it for long periods of time. We all know those long periods of time have triggered my fun word decoction, right? And that's important because chaga is incredibly hard. This is not one of those things that you're going to pull off a tree and just throw into your stir fry, right? We're not making chamomile tea here, guys. We're extracting compounds over time. So traditionally, chaga was used as a general wellness mushroom and became deeply woven into regional traditions. And as we know, that's probably one of the reasons why it survived for so long. So, I cut my toe earlier, so I'm just checking to make sure I'm not bleeding. So why does it grow on the birch trees? So here's the fascinating thing, right? Chaga forms a relationship with the tree it's growing on. And because birch trees contain compounds such as beta-luin, researchers have been interested in those compounds and the influence on chaga's chemistry. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a chemistry lesson because I am not a chemist by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it's important to remember the environment matters, the tree matters, and what part of the plant or fungus can affect the chemical profiles, right? So honestly, it's kind of incredible when you think about it. So we just have to be like mini chemists. So why did chaga become this internet superstar that it has become? Antioxidants. It's probably the biggest reason. You've probably heard chaga described as one of the most antioxidant-rich foods in the world. It probably unseated something else, and that's where the marketing machine really took off. Suddenly, chaga was everywhere, right? You couldn't turn around without seeing it put into all different formulations, extracts, capsules. It's just everywhere. All because antioxidants, and like The buzzwords, man, the buzzwords are going to get us. And somewhere along the way, the conversation shifted from the actual traditional use of this mushroom, right, to these miracle claims, right? But what does the research actually say? So this is where we're going to slow down. Researchers have explored chaga in relation to immune function, inflammation, oxidative stresses, antioxidant activity, and metabolic processes. And just like every other mushroom we've discussed in the series, the research is interesting, but interesting does not automatically mean conclusive, right? And don't think you're going to drink 1 cup and be a supervillain. That's just not how it works. And so one of the biggest lessons I hope you learn from these mushroom videos, the science is ever evolving, and one study is rarely the final answer, and you can probably always find a study that contradicts it if you spend enough time. So how do we use chaga? Well, this mushroom is commonly prepared as teas, decoctions, powders, capsules, right? Extracts. We've seen it in tinctures. I've seen chaga smoothies. Yeah, it's everywhere, I'm telling you. And here's where I want to teach you something practical, right? Because chaga is so dense and woody, as we know, simply pouring hot water over it for 5 minutes isn't going to give you the same results as a long, slow simmer, right? So as we learned in our plant videos, the preparation has to match the material, right? And chaga is a good reminder of that principle, right? So let's talk about oxalates. And I know somebody said oxalate, what? But anyway, because this is the one thing that doesn't get discussed enough. Chaga naturally contains oxalates. And if you've ever dealt with kidney stones, well, that word's going to sound very familiar to you. This doesn't mean that chaga is dangerous. It simply means that more is not necessarily better. And that's the important lesson, right? Remember, natural doesn't mean automatically drink as much as you want to, right? Moderation still matters. Those oxalates can play a part in kidney stones. If you're prone to them, make sure you pay attention. So what have we learned from these mushrooms? So let's take a second and look back, right? Reishi taught us about immune modulation. Turkey tail taught us about the microbiome. Maitake taught us about our metabolism. Shiitake taught us about tradition and research. Lion's mane taught us about the relationship between the brain and the gut. Cordyceps taught us that fungi can have very interesting origin stories. And chaga, I think chaga teaches us to question the marketing. And honestly, I think that's a pretty good place to end the mushroom collection. Now, we survived. Do you remember that book, Grover, right? We made it to the end of the book, and the monster at the end of the book was him. Well, we're here. We're at the end of the book. But we made it through the medicinal mushroom collections. I'm proud of you if you stayed through all of them. And while I may be slightly relieved that we're moving from mushrooms, I think we learned something really important along the way. Traditional use matters. Preparation matters. Research matters. Your own research matters. And marketing does not always tell you the whole story, okay? Next time, like I said, we're going to put the mushrooms away because we're heading into one of my favorite topics, the fire ciders, right? And we're going to compare two very different versions, the classic spicy, clear your sinuses kind, right? And then a gentler hibiscus version. And honestly, after this mini mushrooms, I think we all deserve something with a little more flavor. So we're going to do those in two different videos, right? So that way we can get the full components of each fire cider. I love them both for very different reasons. Big fan of a fire cider. But until next time, guys, stay rooted, stay curious, and as always, keep growing in grace.